What's up, everybody? It's your main man, Killer B, the doggone witch finder general. You got a witch, I'm burning them up. Tonight, we got a good show for y'all tonight. We're going to be talking about the history of the case of Mary Fagan and how this. Sorry about that. This Mac mouse is so damn sensitive. I can just touch it and it flies over. It does what it wants. But we're going to be having a good show tonight. We're going to be talking about the history of Leo Frank in the case of the 13-year-old girl that Leo Frank was convicted for the murder and the RAP of this 13-year-old girl, Mary Fagan. So, I can go into my intro music. What's up, Shamian? Come on, Shamian. Keep the thing on the topic. Come on, don't do that tonight. So we're gonna go dive into this case, and we're gonna show how the beginnings of this event prompted what we know today as the Anti-Defamation League, and we're gonna find something very disturbing and just weird tonight with everything. With that, I'm gonna get on with my theme music. I will be. I'm gonna shout out all my supporters at the end of the show. I'm on a different account. I don't have all my list saved on this, so I will be shouting that out. I thank all the supporters and stuff that to keep me support me to keep me going. If damn, this is driving me crazy tonight. I gotta put this mouse down. So yeah, I'd like to thank all my supporters that keep me going. If anybody else would like to support Killer B, there's my Cash App there on the screen, $ Colt Buster. Let's get into the theme music and start the beginning of the show. Let's go. Oh, and I don't have the song on here. Oh, okie dokie. So I guess I won't be doing the theme music. Wait, no, I could, I guess. No, I might as well not even do it. Okay, so but I do need. You know what? I'm just gonna get it, so I'll have it on here. Okay. Should have took care of this before. Okay. All right, here we go. Load this thing here up, so we'll have it for future videos. Yeah. So y'all. Hopefully, you guys were able to check out Niggy's stream last night on the ADL. He did a really good history video on them. We actually had Josh that came on the stream last night. Shout out to Josh for coming on and stuff. And thank you, Josh, for the great music that you have blessed us with for the Witch Finder General show. I will be playing some more of his music in the future. Those of you who don't know and stuff, a lot of his music was played in a lot of my earlier videos. So with that, I'm just waiting this thing here to load. I'm gonna have this song played. I can get my shares out. Please hit the like button on the way in. Please support the channel. Please share this video. We got the super chat and we got the super thanks open. So if you want to, know what I'm saying, help a brother out. If y'all want to keep this thing going strong, that's the way to do it. Or just hit that like button and stuff. I'm happy with that. Or hit the dislike button. But make sure you tell me why you're mad. So with that, all right, this thing's almost done. Probably like 10 seconds or so. Hopefully get some more people up in here to speak on this. I'm going to be reading a little bit. I'm going to play some videos just to get everybody familiar with the case and what people are saying about it. All right. And we had a lot of talk about the ADL recently with Kyrie Irving having to pay $500,000 to ADL-approved organizations for posting a video on his social media. I believe he was done wrong. I believe he shouldn't have to pay that money. I wouldn't have paid it. Truthfully, this is my opinion. I wouldn't have paid it. I would have quit basketball before I paid it. For something that's on Amazon. Why is it on Amazon? If it's that bad, why doesn't Amazon get the same heat? And like I said before in our last couple of videos, people are screaming anti-Semitic, but these Semitic people are allowing other types of hate on their platform with no repercussions. It's like Mr. Kyrie Irving said, you can say the N-word all day on the platform and there's no repercussions. So with that, y'all,
Humanity the man portrayed on the scene so vividly that you flee. This man showed no mercy in the pursuit and interrogation of his victims. He was called the Witch-Finder General.
Right there, $sign Buster. And we gonna get this thing going here. What's up, Lilo?
Witch-finding ain't easy.
Right.
Getting this one. Y'all can get your hands locked, giving away like prison. Intelligence agencies tracing. Seeing what I did lately, amazing. They not seeing all the sheep grazing. Flaming pins of Josh, get rocked. Mountaintops go fly. Right enough, fight enough. Yet I'm so nice when I explode. Fuck y'all clothes, costume shop rolls. Catch info like a stroll. Feeling old, so grab a switch. I'ma scold my foes cause they snitch. Since they can't ruin me, I'ma ruin them. That chopped off head will still spin. Burning witches in they sin. You can't lie, we can't die. I know what y'all said. Just as flesh decay, but eternally, I don't see it that way. Pave the road clear is what you said, but your cult gonna leave people dead. Claim y'all don't know you. Watch your desires overthrow you. Man fall down, man go boom. Mask wearing like doom. All caps like y'all yelling. That's a rap. Might as well be felons. Y'all words are lepers. On YouTube, acting precious. This the nexus. Feel the sun from the solar plexus. Taste the breakfast. Finding all those devices that detect us. Yo, show respect, cuz.
And what line of business might you be in?
God's business. Witch finding.
Witch finding. Oh, that's
Y'all
nice. That's
looking for
very
that next buzz or some hugs. Watch the general pull plugs. Internet warriors caught up in dark corridors. Fiction like Mordor. Should have stayed on the floor. Y'all know no origins. Laugh at orphans, even though we got royal blood coursing. No more horsing. Real life's more important. Y'all speaking curses on yourself. Claiming God and no one else. Blast you off the shelf. Burn your whole library. I see him do it. Look, y'all claim and learn. Reading from the Jewish books. Y'all some cookie crooks. Lips caught up with a hook. Spooky beats drive me wild. Get stabbed from a knife holding child. Old man, old style. Used to pull kelp out the Nile. And I did it with a smile. Fake bruise, smell vile. Rock like Hendrix at the aisle. After a while, seeing gypsies on trial. Yeah, you, the one claiming brew. Unglued and unruly. Expose their actions fully. Call me a bully, but that's fine. This is how you get bullied straight from the mind. Burning them.
Sweet cats out there. Don't even have faith in y'all. They claim they read all this, that they know all this. Claiming they speaking languages, speaking curses.
Why, y'all? Let's go on up in here.
Be the first to see it.
Play
Be
it
the
again.
first to talk about it.
All right,
The
so bring the
Witch-Finder
ass up
General.
in here.
Man's inhumanity to man portrayed on the screen so vividly that you flinch. This man showed no mercy in the pursuit and interrogation of his victims. He was called the Witch-Finder General.
Witch finding ain't easy. Fucking tricky. Getting this one. Y'all can get your heads locked, spin away like frisbee. Intelligence agencies tracing. Seeing what I did lately, amazing. They not seeing all the sheep grazing. Flaming pins of Josh, get rocked. Mountaintops go fly. Right enough, fight enough. Yet I'm so nice when I expose. Fuck y'all clothes, costume shop rolls. Catch info like a stroll. Feeling old, so grab a switch. I'ma scold my foes cause they snitch. Since they can't ruin me, I'ma ruin them. That chopped off head will still spin. Burning witches in they sin. You can't lie, we can't die. I know what y'all said. Just as flesh decay, but eternally, I don't see it that way. Pave the road clear is what you said. But your cult gonna leave people dead. You claim y'all, but y'all don't know you. Watch your desires overthrow you. Man fall down, man go boom. Mask wearing like doom. All caps like y'all yelling. That's a rap, might as well be felons. Y'all words are lepers. On YouTube, acting precious. This the nexus. Feel the sun from the solar plexus. Taste the breakfast. Finding all those devices that detect us. Yo, show respect, cuz.
Right on, man.
What line of business might it be?
God's business. Witch finding.
Let's get started.
That's
Y'all
nice. That's
looking for that next buzz or some hugs. Watch the general pull plugs. Internet warriors caught up in dark corridors. Fiction like Mordor. Should've stayed on the floor. Y'all know no origins. Laughing orphans, even though we got royal blood coursing. No more horsing. Real life's more important. Y'all speaking curses on yourself. Claiming God and no one else. Blast you off the shelf. Burn your whole library. See them do it, look. Y'all claim and learn, reading from the Jewish books. Y'all some cookie crooks. Lips caught up with a hook. Spooky beats drive me wild. Get stabbed from a knife holding child. Old man, old style. Used to pull kelp out the Nile. And I did it with a smile. Fake brews, smell vile. Rock like Hendrix at the aisle. After a while, see Egyptians on trial. Yeah, you, the one claiming brew. Unglued and unglued. Expose their actions fully. Call me a bully, but that's fine. This is how you get bullied straight from the mind. Burning them.
Sweet cats out there. Don't even have faith in y'all. They claim they read all this, that they know all this. Claiming they speaking languages, speaking curses.
Be the first to see it. Be the first to talk about it. The Witch-Finder General.
You goddamn right.
Man's inhumanity to man portrayed on the screen so vividly that you flinch.
Got two people up here. Come on, y'all. See the
In the
video.
pursuit and interrogation of his victims. He was called the Witch-Finder General.
Witch finding ain't easy. Fucking tricky. Getting this one. Y'all can get your heads locked, spin away like frisbee. Intelligence agencies tracing. Seeing what I did lately, amazing. They not seeing all the sheep grazing. Flaming pins of Josh, get rocked. Mountaintops go fly. Right enough, fight enough. Yet I'm so nice when I expose. Fuck y'all clothes, costume shop rolls. Catch info like a stroll. Feeling old, so grab a switch. I'ma scold my foes cause they snitch. Since they can't ruin me, I'ma ruin them. That chopped off head will still spin. Burning witches in they sin. We can't die. I know what y'all said. Just as flesh decay, but eternally, I don't see it that way. Pave the road clear is what you said. But your cult gonna leave people dead. You claim y'all, but y'all don't know you. Watch your desires overthrow you. Man fall down, man go boom. Mask wearing like doom. All caps like y'all yelling. That's a rap, might as well be felons. Y'all words are lepers. On YouTube, acting precious. Vista Nexus, feel the sun from the solar plexus. Tasting breakfast, finding all those devices that detect us. Yo, show respect, cuz.
And what line of business might you be in?
God's business. Witch finding.
Which finding? Oh, that's
Y'all
nice.
be
That's
looking for
very
that next buzz or some hugs. Watch the general pull plugs. Internet warriors caught up in dark.
All right.
Fiction like Mordor.
About to get ready to start. Hit that like button way in.
No origins. Laughing
So support your boy out of the cat. The super cat. The
claiming God, no one else. Blast you off. Burn your whole library. Seen him do it. Look, y'all claim and learn. Reading from the Jewish books. Y'all some cookie crooks. Lips caught up with a hook. Spooky beats drive me wild. Get stabbed from a knife holding child. Old man, old style. Used to pull kelp out the Nile. And I did it with a smile. Fake bruise, smell vile. Rock like Hendrix at the aisle. After a while, see gypsies on trial. Yeah, you, the one claiming brew. Unglued and unruly. Expose their actions fully. Call me a bully, but that's fine. This is how you get bullied straight from the mind.
All right.
Burning them.
All right. Make sure y'all hit the like button on the way in.
They have faith in y'all. Have faith. They claim they read all this, that they know all this, claiming they speaking languages, speaking curses.
Be the first to see it. Be the first to talk about it. The Witchfinder General.
You damn right. What's up, y'all? Witchfinder General. Back at y'all again with another one of them live videos. And we gonna shut some shit down tonight. Yes, we are. I swear for God we is. We about to shut some shit down tonight. We're gonna be talking about poor 13-year-old Mary Faye, right? And we're gonna be talking about the old dirty dog, Mr. Leo Frank, right? And we be talking about the ADL, and how the ADL, this is what sparked the start of what is known today as the anti-defamation, right? And I find this very, very disturbing, right? This isn't. It's gonna be. We're gonna be talking about lynching. This event happened. A man, Leo Frank, was convicted. Yeah, he was convicted of the. I know I ain't gonna say it because YouTube and stuff. I just put the RPE in murder of a 13-year-old girl. There was an attempt to blame the African American man that was a doorman or like a night watch guy at this pencil company. And convicted, the sentence didn't sit well with the public, and they became an angry mob. Wrote to the police department, grabbed this now convicted prisoner and drive them as much as 100 miles away from the precinct, and lynched him, right? The Jewish people at that time in that community, I guess, felt that it was an unjust thing and that there should be more to protect their own, right? And there has been a long road of the ADL and their affiliates to get Leo Frank a pardon, which they end up getting, but not the kind of pardon that they were looking for, but they accepted the pardon that they got. And I believe it was rightfully judged, the pardon. What happened with the pardon, I believe, was fair, right? And for what I see from the trial, it was fair also To this the way I look at it, right? This is my opinion. This is just my opinion. We're gonna be going over some deep stuff. I'm gonna open up the board. What up, Scary? What up, Josh? Y'all, like whenever you see it. Yep, that's right. What up, Scary YT Streets? What up, Josh? Lil, Shavion? All right, so we can be getting into this thing here tonight. Let me start off with the Wikipedia on why. I'm Mr. Leo Frank, right? Let me give y'all a little history. And move my feet a little closer here. All right. Let's get this thing on the road here. Leo Frank, born 1817, 1884, was lynched on August 17, 1915, was American factory superintendent, remember, superintendent, who was convicted in 1913 of the murder of a 13-year-old employee, Mary Fagan, in Atlanta, Georgia. This trial, conviction, and appeals attracted national attention. His lynching 2 years later, in response to the communication of his death sentence, became the focus of social, regional, political, and racial concerns, particularly regarding anti-Semitism. Right? We'll be hearing a lot about that later. Today, the consensus of the researchers is that Frank was wrongly convicted, and Jim Conley was likely the actual murderer. Right? We're gonna learn who this Jim Conley is, right? And we can go through some things, and we can ask, let y'all know. We're gonna ask y'all because I looked at both sides of this, right? And the side, I'm not going to say the people, I'm just going to say the ADL, because the ADL spearheaded this whole thing, right? So I'm going to put on ADL. This video is not in no way, shape, form, or fashion attack on any race, creed, tribe, or whatever, ethnic people or whatever, right? It's an attack on right and wrong. Right? This is what we doing. Born to a Jewish American family in Texas, Frank was raised in New York and earned a degree in mechanical engineering from Cornell University before moving to Atlanta in 1908. Let me share my screen here for y'all. Share my screen here. Leo Frank, boom. Let me drop my what's-it-call-them up in here too. And y'all want to come on and drop the link here? All right. Here we go. There's the link. Anybody want to hop on? Okay, back to reading. He involved himself with the city's Jewish community and was elected president of the Atlanta chapter of the B'nai B'rith, a Jewish fraternal organization. Jewish fraternal organization. So this was the B'nai B'rith was pretty much a type of Masonic order, fraternal organization at the time that was reserved for Jewish people. In 1912, right? At the time, we were growing concerns regarding child labor at factories. One of these children was Mary Fagan, who worked at the National Pencil Company where Frank was director. The girl was strangled on April 26, 1913, and found dead in the factory cellar the next morning. 2 notes. Now listen to this. 2 notes made to look as if she had written them were found beside her body. Based on the mention of a night watch, a night witch, they implicated the night watchman neatly over the course of the investigations. The police arrested several men, including Lee, Frank, and Jim Conley, a janitor at the factory. And May 24th, 1913, Frank was indicted on the charges of murder, and the case opened at Fulton County Superior Court, July 28th, 1913. The prosecution relied heavily on the testimony of Conley, who described themselves as an accomplice in the aftermath of the murder. Right? You keep that in mind. He's accomplished. No idea what they are. It's right away. Get ready now. I can't find that damn lighter. God dang. Hold on 1 second, y'all. I gotta find my guy. Oh, here it is. All right. There was a note, right? And who described themselves as accomplice in the aftermath of the murder, and who the defense at the trial argued was, in fact, the perpetrator of the murder. A guilty verdict was announced August 25th. Frank and his lawyers made a series of unsuccessful appeals. The final appeal to the Supreme Court of the United States failed on April 15th, right? So this is a lot of appeals that didn't go through, right? And considering arguments from both sides as well as evidence not available at trial, Governor John M. Stanton commuted Frank's sentence from capital punishment to life imprisonment. Right? So they didn't kill him because of the circumstances and stuff, evidence that wasn't available and stuff like this, right? So they say, yo, we're just gonna give him life. There was enough to convict him. The case attracted national press attention, and many reporters deemed the conviction travesty. While Georgia, this outside criticism fueled anti-Semitism and hatred towards Frank. On August 16, 1915, he was kidnapped from prison by a group of armed men and lynched at Mary Fagan's hometown the next morning. A new governor vowed to punish the lynchers, who included prominent Marietta citizens, but nobody was charged. 1886, Frank was posthumously pardoned by the Georgia State Board of Pardons and Police, although not officially absolved of the crime. The case has inspired books, movies, plays, TVs, and ministries. This case spurred the creation of the Anti-Defamation League and the resurgence of the Ku Klux Klan. So this case here made the Ku Klux Klan come back. Right? Now, this is at a time where a black man couldn't do nothing. Couldn't do a damn thing. Why the damn light ain't working? This is a bitch. Hey, hold on 1 second. Hold on. Right. Hey, 1 second. 1 second. This is great. Always certain. This can't be regular. All right. So you see here, this started the Anti-Defamation League, right? And let me look at that. Oh, I didn't know. Oh, that's my screen. Hot topics. Thank you, Josh. I appreciate it. Right? So, this man here was convicted. We're going to go into some things of the trial. We're going to hear from Miss Fagan's family members. There's a family member that has dedicated a lot of time to digging into the case. And we're going to see to this day what the family think about it. Now, I watched a 100-year anniversary of the lynching of Leo Frank that was set by the ADL. And I found it very disrespectful. For one, that they choose some black people on the panel and speakers, some that don't seem like they even do anything about this, right? And those two Jewish gentlemen, and some of the stories that they told when they was younger about in town, like what the people thought about the case and what their parents trained them and grew them up, I think, and stuff like that. And it was very disturbing. I'm gonna put the link in here later, and you guys go watch it. And I like to know what y'all think about it in the comments. I was gonna do it. It's too long, but I want to play this long. That is super long, so it's too much to put in one video for y'all. But we can get down to some shit, and it seems to me. Let's just talk about it. Let's just talk about it. Let me from my mouth. Anybody want to come on? The links in the chat. All right. Let's talk about the timeline here. The social and economic conditions at the time. I'm gonna go. Despite success, many Jews recognize themselves as different from the Gentile majority and were uncomfortable with their image. Despite their own acceptance by Gentiles, Marx believed that in isolated instances, there is no prejudice entertained for the individual Jew, but there exists widespread and deep-seated prejudice as an entire people, right? During the era, I'm going to backtrack up to that. During the era, Atlanta's rabbis and Jewish community leaders helped to resolve anonymously towards Jews in the half century of 1895. David Marx was a prominent figure in the city. In order to aid assimilation, Marx's Reform Temple adopted Americanized appearances. Friction developed between the city German Jews who were integrated and Russian Jews who had recently immigrated. Marx said the new residents were barbaric and ignorant and believed their presence would create new anti-Semitic attitude and a situation which made possible Frank's guilty verdict. So they're saying, I guess, that these people came up in there, like the rest of the Jews there learned how to fit in a little bit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Stay low key. But they said the other ones, the new residents and stuff were barbaric. An example of the type of tension that Marx feared occurred in April 1913 is a conference on child labor. Some participants blamed the problem in part on the fact that many factories were Jewish owned. Historian Leonard Dinnerstein summarized Atlanta's situation in 1913 as follows: the pathological conditions in the city menaced the home and state and schools and churches. In the words of the contemporary Southern socialists, the wholesome industrial life, the institutions of the city were obviously unfit to handle urban problems. Against this background, the murder of a young girl in 1913 triggered a violent reaction in mass depression area. Leo Max Frank was born in Texas on April 1884 to Rudolph Frank. Okay. We already read enough about his life and stuff. He's a Jewish person. He went to school and stuff. Says here he earned $180 per month, plus a portion of the factory's profit. Now, we look at what little Mary Franklin made a week, right? Was like $1.20, $1.60 or something like that. And this takes home too, like with my mother, right? My mother had to drop out of school in 5th grade to help the family, to work on the farm. And this was the case with a lot of children, Black children at that time, that had to help the family make ends meet, right? So this was a girl that wasn't Black, but was Caucasian and had to do the same thing. And Mary Franklin was born June 1st, 1899, to the established Georgia family of tenant farmers. Heard that, right? All right. So her father died before she was born. Shortly after Mary's birth, her mother, Frances Fagan, moved the family back to the hometown of Marietta, Georgia during 1907. They again relocated to East Point, Georgia, right? I'm going to skip over some of this. Mary Fagan left school at age 10 to work part-time in the textile mill. In 1912, after her mother married John William Coleman, the family moved the city to Atlanta. The spring, Fagan took a job with the National Pencil Company, where she earned 10 cents an hour operating a knurling machine that inserted rubber erasers into the metal tips of pencils, and worked 55 hours a week. This is a normal work day back then, 55 hours a week. Right now, I recently found the old census paper from 1940s from my grandfather, right? And it says that he was a farmer. He owned his own farm and a farming business. And it said there for how many hours he worked a week, it was 55. Right? Fagan was laid off due to material shortage. Around noon, April 26th, she went to the factory to claim her pay. Right? The next day, shortly before 3 a.m., the factory night watchman, Newt Lee, went to the factory basement to use the toilet. After leaving the toilet, Lee discovered Fagan's body in the rear of the basement near an incinerator and called the police. Her dress was up around her waist, and a strip from her petticoat had been torn off and wrapped around her neck. Her face was blackened and scratched, and her head bruised and battered. A 7-foot strip of a 1/4-inch wrapping cord was tied into a noose around her neck, buried 1/4 inch deep, showing that she had been strangled. Her underwear was still around her hips, but stained with blood and torn open. Her skin was covered with ashes and dirt from the floor, initially making it appear to first responding officers that she and the assailant had struggled in the basement. The service ramp at the rear of the basement led to the sliding door and opened into the alley. The police found the door had been tampered with, so it could be opened without unlocking it. After examination, found bloody fingerprints on the door, as well as a metal pipe that had been used as a crowbar. Some evidence at the crime scene was improperly handled by the police investigator. The trail in the dirt from the elevator shaft, along with the police believe Fagan had been dragged, was trampled. The footprints were never identified. 2 notes were found in the pile of rubbish. Now, this is weird, right? By Fagan's head, and became known as the murder notes. One said, he said he would love me laying down, play like the night witch did. But that long, tall black Negro did boy his left. Now this is talking like this 13-year-old girl dropped out of school, didn't have proper grammar or reading or writing or whatever. Like, you know what I'm saying? The other said, ma'am, that Negro hired down here did this. I went to make water and he pushed me down the hole. A long-tailed Negro black. That who it was. Long, slim, tall Negro. I write while play with me. The phrase night witch was thought to mean night watchman. When the notes were initially read aloud, Lee, who was black, said, boss, it looks like they were trying to lay it on me. You hear this? Lee was arrested that morning based on the notes, and his apparent familiarity with the body. He states that the girl was white when the police, because of the filth and darkness in the basement, initially thought she was black. The trail leading back to the elevator suggests to police that the body had been moved by Lee. Police investigations. In addition to Lee, the police arrested a friend of Flagan's for the crime. Gradually, the police became convinced that these were not the culprits. Now, this is heavy as fuck right there. Because why? Why? They saying the nigga ain't do this shit. They saying the nigga ain't do this. The white man saying this. The white man saying this shit. Now, let's not forget that this factory was owned by Lee Frank's family. Right? All right, we good now. All right. Yeah, we good now. All right. So there's a note. Now, who wrote this note? Who would write a note saying, yeah, that tall black man did this? Now, the woman was already strangled. Something's weird. At the song go, something just ain't right. Right? Now, check this out. They try to put it on the nigga. They put it on the first nigga. Then they try to put it on the second. Right, check this out. See, like I said this before, you gotta keep an eye on people because they act like your friend. But when shit goes down, you better be ready. You better be ready. Right? Check this out. By Monday, the police had theorized that the murder occurred on the second floor, the same as Frank's office, based on hair found on the lathe. It would appear to be blood on the ground of the second floor. Both Newt Lee, after discovery of Fagan's body, and the police just after 4 a.m., had unsuccessfully tried to telephone Frank early on Sunday, April 27th. Now, he tried to get hold of the man. Oh boy, ain't answering the phone. The police contacted him later in the morning, and he agreed to accompany them at the factory. When the police arrived after 7 a.m., without telling the specifics of what happened at the factory, check this out. Frank seemed extremely nervous, trembling, and pale. His voice was hoarse, and he was rubbing his hands and asking questions before the police could answer. Frank said that he was not familiar with the name Mary Fagan. You the super. You the superintendent. You the supervisor, right? Your family owned the business. But you don't know this woman? 13-year-old girl, early 1900s in the South. 13-year-old pretty girl. Pretty 13-year-old girl. And you didn't know who she was in early 1900? Now, we don't cover shit like this before. In the South, old dirty bastards and stuff was taking all types of young-ass little girls. Right? Black, white, green, purple, and all was doing it. Right? Now, Frank said he was not familiar with her and would need to check his payroll book. The detectives took Frank to the morgue to see Fagan's body and then to the factory where Frank viewed the crime scene and walked the police through the entire building. Frank returned home about 10:45 a.m. At this point, Frank was not considered a suspect. On Monday, the 28th, Frank accompanied his attorney, Luford Rosner, right? Gave a written disposition to the police that provided a brief timeline of his activities on Saturday. He said Flanagan was in his office between 12:05 and 12:10. Now, he's putting us specific on this girl that he originally said he didn't know who the hell she was. Now he got how you say it, specifics. Yeah, sorry, I'm tongue-tied here, but y'all know what I'm talking about. That Lee had arrived at 4 p.m., but was asked to return later, and that Frank had a confrontation with the ex-employee James Grant. 6 p.m. As Frank was leaving and Lee arriving, Frank explained that Lee's time card for Sunday morning has several gaps. Right? Lee was supposed to punch in every half hour. When Frank had missed when he discussed the time card with police, right? And on Sunday, at Rosner's insistence, Frank exposed his body to demonstrate that he had no cuts or injury. And the police found no blood on the suit that Frank said he had worn on Saturday. The police found no blood stains on the laundry at Frank's house. Frank then met with his assistant, N.V. Darley, and Harry Scott of the Pinkerton National Detective Agency, whom Frank hired to investigate the case and prove his innocence. There's a lot of work. There's a lot of work right here. There's a lot of money, too. Right? The Pinkerton detectives would investigate many leads, ranging from crime scene evidence to allegations of sexual misconduct on the part of Frank. The Pinkertons were required to submit duplicates of all evidence to the police, including any that hurt Frank's case. Unbeknownst to Frank, however, was Scott's close ties with the police. Right? Particularly his best friend, Detective John Black, who believed in Frank's guilt from the outset. On Tuesday, April 29th, Blank went to Lee's residence at 11 a.m. looking for evidence and found a blood-smeared shirt at the bottom of a burn barrel. The blood was smeared high up on the armpits, and the shirt smelled unused. It smelled unused, suggesting to the police that it was a plant. The detective's suspicion of Frank, due to his nervous behavior throughout his interviews, believed Frank had arranged the plant. So they found a shirt with blood all over it, but these detectives, it's like nobody ever wore this shirt. And got blood in weird ass spots. Frank was subsequently arrested around 11:30 a.m. at the factory. Steve only states that no single development had persuaded the police that Leo Frank had murdered Mary Fagan. Instead, to the cumulated weight of Sunday's suspicions and Monday's misgivings had been added several last factors that tipped the scale against the superintendent. These factors were the drop charges against two suspects, the rejection of rumors that Fagan had been seen on the streets, making Frank the last person to admit seeing Fagan, Frank's meeting with Pinkertons, and shifting view of Lee's role in the affair. The police were convinced Lee was involved as Frank's accomplice and that Frank was trying to implicate him. To bolster their case, the police staged a confrontation between Lee and Frank. While both were still in custody, there were conflicting accounts of this meeting, but the police interpreted it as a further implicating Frank. On Wednesday, April 30th, a coroner's inquest was held. Frank testified about his activities on Saturday, and other witnesses produced collaboration. Right? That's right. Hit that like button, y'all. Hit that like button. Forensics, goddamn it. Forensics. We getting down to it. Hit the like button, y'all. Okay, now where I left off here. These factors were dropped charges against 2 suspects. The rejection of rumors that Fagan had been seen on the street, making Frank the last person. Okay, blah, blah, blah. The police were convinced Lee was involved as Frank's accomplice and that Frank was trying to implicate him. To bolster their case, the police staged a confrontation between Lee and Frank while both were still in custody. They were conflicting accounts of this meeting. The police interpreted to further implicate Frank. On April 30th, for corner. Okay, I read all this. Okay, boom. This is a good point right here. Frank testified about his activities on Saturday, and others witnessed produced collaboration. A young man said that Fagan had accompanied to him about Frank. Several former employees spoke of Frank flirting with other women. One said she was actually propositioned. The detectives admitted that they so far had obtained no conclusive evidence or clues in the baffling mystery. Lee and Frank were both ordered to be detained. In May, the detective William Burns traveled to Atlanta to offer further assistance in the case. However, his Burns agency withdrew from the case later that month. C.W. Toby, a detective from Chicago affiliated who was assigned to the case, said that the agency came down here to investigate a murder case, not to engage in petty politics. The agency quickly became disillusioned with the many societal implications of the case, most notably the notion that Frank was able to evade persecution due to him being a rich Jew, buying off the police and paying private detectives. Jim Conley, the old boy right here, Jim Conley. Picture of him right here. That's old Jim Conley. You learn about old Jim Conley. Jim. Jim. All right. The prosecution based much of his cases on the testimony of Jim Conley, the factory's janitor, who is believed, that's Jim Conley's janitor, my bad, I said he was night watch, who is believed by many historians to be the actual murderer. Now, these historians are certain historians, right? But what I found from my research, the police had arrested, just like old boy got his own detectives, you know what I'm saying? And he was accused of bribing people, planting stuff on people, right? The police had arrested Conley on May 1st after he had been seen washing red stains out of a blue work shirt. Now, once again, this is another shirt with blood on it, right? Detectives examined it for blood, but determined that it was rust, as Conley had claimed, right? So it was rust, and returned it. Conley was still in police custody 2 weeks later when he gave his first formal statement. He said that on the day of the murder, he had been visiting saloon, shooting dice, drinking, right? Sound like a real nigga to me, right? So this story, like Takeoff, shooting dice with these niggas, right? So this story was called into question when a witness told detectives that a black Negro dressed in dark blue clothing and a hat had been seen in the lobby of the factory on the day of the murder. Further investigation determined that Conley could read and write, and there were similarities in his spelling with that found on the murder notes. Remember the murder notes that was on the body? On May 24th, he admitted he had written the notes, swearing that Frank had called him to his office the day before the murder and told him to write them. Yes, sir, boss. Yes, sir, boss. Right? And those times the white man told a nigga to do something, that nigga better do it. We all know this. We ain't dumb. Who they fooling? After testing Conley again in his spelling, he spelled night watchman as night witch. The police were convinced he had written the notes. They were skeptical about the rest of the story, not only because it implied premeditation by Frank, but also because it suggested that Frank had confessed to Conley involved him. In the new affidavit, the second affidavit, in the third statement, Conley admitted that he had lied about his Friday meeting with Frank. He said that he had met Frank on the street on Saturday and was told to follow him to the factory. Frank told him to hide a wardrobe to avoid being seen by two women who were visiting Frank in the office. He said Frank dictated the murder notes for him to write, gave him cigarettes, then told him to leave the factory. See? Old nigga, old drunk, nice shooting ass nigga. Right? Boy, you write this. Right what I tell you now. Right what I tell you, Bo. Bo, you better write this. Give me these cigarettes, don't you? I know you want some cigarettes. Afterwards, Conley said he went out drinking and saw a movie. He said he did not learn of the murder until he went to work on Monday. Police were satisfied with the new story, and both Atlanta Journal and Atlanta Georgian gave the story front page cover. 3 officials of the pencil company were not convinced and said so in the Journal. They contended that Conley had followed another employee into the building, intending to rob her, but found flagging and was an easier target. The police placed little credence on the official's theory, but had no explanation for the failure to locate Fagan's purse that other witnesses had testified she had carried that day. They were also concerned that Conley did not mention that he was aware a crime had been committed when he wrote the notes, suggesting Frank had simply dictated the notes to Conley's arbitrator to resolve their doubts. The police attempted on May 28th to arrange a confrontation with Frank and Conley. Frank exercised his right not to meet without his attorney, who was out of town. The police were quoted in the Atlanta Constitution saying that this refusal was an indication that Frank's guilt. And the meeting never took place. I ain't sitting there arguing with no nigga. Conley was interviewed for hours. His new affidavit said that Frank told him he had picked up a girl back there and let her fall, and that her head hit against something. Right? This is what the nigga said. This is what the Negro said. Right? Conley said that Frank took the body to the basement via the elevator, then returned to Frank's office where the murder notes were dictated. Conley then hid the wardrobe after the two had returned to the office. He said Frank gave him $200. You remember how much? Do you all remember what I said? How much Frank made a month? $180 a month. He giving this nigga $200, but took it back saying, "Let me have that, and I will make it all right with you Monday if I live and nothing happens." That's some old down south talk. I live, nothing happen and stuff. I see you Monday. I see you tomorrow. Right? That's down south talk, right? So he showed the Negro the money. Showed the Negro the money. Like, listen, everything gonna be all right. You can do what I tell you to do and stuff. See the money here, but let me get that back. I'll straighten you up Monday after you get that. Conley affidavit concluded. The reason I have not told this before is I thought Mr. Frank would get out and help me out and I decided to tell the whole truth about this matter. You better. You better. At trial, Conley changed his story concerning $200. He said Frank decided to withhold the money until Conley had burned Fagan's body in the basement furnace. So homeboy took the money back from him and said, "Listen here, you got to burn this body." He already he playing this black dude already. And this sounds like something they would do. Not say something they would do. Something that people other than black people would do to a Negro at that time. That period of time. and the nigga better comply. Right? The Georgian hired William Manning Smith to represent Connolly for $40. The setup. That's right. Hit that like button, y'all. Y'all see it? Shutting it down. Who told y'all this story before? Besides me, right? All right. William Manning Smith to represent Connolly, $40. Smith was known for specializing in representing black clients and has successfully defended a black man against an accusation of rape by a white woman. See? It was a common thing. They had also taken an elderly black woman's civil case as far as the Georgia Supreme Court. Although Smith believed Connolly had told the truth in his final affidavit, he became concerned that Connolly was giving long jailhouse interviews with crowds of reporters. Smith was also anxious about reporters from the Hearst paper who had taken Frank's side. He arranged for Connolly to be moved to a different jail and severed his own relationship with the Georgia. Right? Media coverage. He's having strangled. See, they put up $1,800. Right? We're gonna get into this case. I want to play something, a cool video that I found. One with sites and sources and everything. The Yellow Journalism account of Mary Fagan's. Oh shit, I gotta do something real quick. Damn, fucking up here. Give me 1 second, y'all. Screwing stuff up. One second. So what y'all think of the video so far? Let me know something up in there. Or people watching. Just let me knock this thing out real quick here. I forgot to do something with the screen. Come on, damn it. Come on. Come on. All right, there we go. All right. Live Leo Frank. Give me 1 second, just 1 second. All right, we good now. There we go. Boom. All right. Let's see what's this message say. All right, no message. All right, back to this. I can be heard. Everything all good? Let me know if I can. Let me know, Josh, if you're still watching. Can y'all still hear me? So I want to make sure. All right, I guess I can because you can hear me, right? All right, so. All right, say the newspapers reports throughout the period combined real evidence, unsubstantiated rumors, journalistic speculation. Dinnerstein wrote, characterization of innuendo, misrepresentation, and distortion. And Yellow Journalism account of Mary Fagan's death aroused the ancient city, and within a few days, a shocked state. Right. So this showing too how newspapers too could rile people up. So this stuff was in the news, and all the white people in town was like, yo, this dude here gotta go. He gotta go. Especially if he white, but he white like them. And what I find real heavy is them taking the testimony of the Negro over the white man. Over the Jewish man. That's something, and that's something too for a lot of you Afrocentrics and Black powers they'll see that sometimes the law, they did abide by the law in some cases, right? I've shown that with my witch trial, where a lot of the Native Americans and black slaves and stuff had gotten freed, had beaten witch trial cases in the Northeast, in Connecticut and Massachusetts, New York. It has happened, right? At a time where we wouldn't think anything, they wouldn't even ask us no question. Just straight us up. This living. This for being questioned about it, right? Suspected of it. The different segments of the population focusing on different aspects. Atlanta's working class saw Frank as a defiler of young girls, while the German Jewish community saw him as an exemplary man and loyal husband. You see this shit? So, and don't forget, he's part of a fraternal order also, and very wealthy. He can pay his way through stuff. Not only that, he was a big New York City slicker. Coming on down to the South, making all the goddamn money. Gonna want to put $200 in his Negro hand, right? Play the Negro, put $200 in his hand. That's more than he making a month. Let's get to something. I'll get something. I'm tired of reading. All right, we get to the trial and stuff. See, we're talking about sexual behavior, right? Let's read this before I go to the video. The prosecution focused on Frank's alleged sexual behavior. They alleged that Frank, with Conley's assistance, regularly met with women in his office for sexual relations. On the day of the murder, Conley said he saw Flagan go upstairs, where he heard a scream coming shortly after. He then said he dozed off when he woke up. Frank called him upstairs and showed him Fagan's body, admitted that he had hurt her. Conley repeated statements from his affidavit that he and Frank took Fagan's body to the basement via the elevator. Before returning in the elevator to the office where Frank dictated the murder notes. Who else could you trust at the time? And say, you better not say nothing, nigga. You better not say nothing. It's not boss. You know, boss might have gave him cigarettes every day. You know what I'm saying? Keep an eye on my place, Leroy. Leroy, you make sure you keep an eye on my place when I ain't here. Yes, sir, boss. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, boss. Thank you, Scary. Thanks, Josh. Yeah, see, this is deep. This is the white people shit right here. I'm showing you some real white folk shit. Hey, listen here, nigga. I got this money here. You ain't never seen no money like this before, has you? No, so no, boss. I reckon I haven't. No, so, boss. I reckon I haven't. I haven't seen no money. I in all my dead life. Probably never. For real? Me? I just need you to write this note here. I need to get rid of this old girl right here. I don't want to go to jail and say, I'm a good man. I'm a good man. I give you cigarettes every day, don't I? Well, boss, I get you. You gives me cigarettes every day. Like, I can afford cigarettes. You know what I'm saying? So boss been good too. He know boss got his back. So he know boss got his back. You feel what I'm saying? So he gonna do what boss tell him because he feel boss got his back and ain't gonna let them get in no trouble. Hey, he got money. He can get out of trouble. Yeah, I just gotta help get rid of this old white girl, this old white guy. They put her in the furnace. See what's going on here? Right? Call brought him upstairs, admitted that he had hurt. I don't know what happened. You know, how would this fool? He knew he was fucking all the little girls up in the video. Not in the video. Fucking all the girls in the video. Fucking all the girls in the office. He know goddamn well he was doing that. And all right, where did I go out on? Yep, for sure, Josh. Yep. Yeah, he that dude, he's not playing with a full deck and stuff. He probably should have took his meds when he came out here. But I'm gonna get back to where I left off here. All right, let's get to it here. The fuck? Screwed something up here. All right. All right. All right. Jim Conley, the trial. Here we go. It said that 16 hours and 3 days, but the defense failed to break his story. The defense then moved to have Conley's entire testimony concerning the alleged rendezvous stricken from the record. They throwing the old black dude bones. They like, yo, check this out. We gonna, know what I'm saying? We ain't gonna tie you in with all this. Long you just tell us the truth, Negro. Just tell us the truth. And you good. Other than that, they would have been lynched his behind. He probably wouldn't even made it to the trial. But the people didn't even believe this. They didn't even believe this black dude did this. He was tricked. And it was just like, and the white people said that shit. because they would do the same shit. They would do the same thing if the shoe was on their foot. They would have did the same thing as Leo Frank at this time if the shoe was on the other foot. That's why they believe this black dude. That's why they believed it. And what nigga is going to write a note about killing somebody? Who does that? Who does that? And how old was this man to be that stupid? How old was he when he did it? 84, so what? Well, for he was 20, 30 something years old. He's still a young man. Probably not and got in no trouble before and had to think fast. And had to think real fast. Get this nigga here to write this goddamn note. And they just blame it on the goddamn nigga. Because, you know, they hate niggas. But, you know, I look like them. So, you know, I might can get away with it. I got enough money, too. Got a pocket full of money. Right? The prosecution to support Frank's alleged expectation of the visit from Fagan produced Helen Ferguson, a factory worker who informed Fagan's parents of her death. Ferguson testified that she had tried to get Fagan's pay on Friday from Frank, but was told that Fagan would have to come in person. Both the person behind the pay window and the woman behind Ferguson in the pay line disputed the version of events, testifying that in accordance with his normal practice, paid that day. The defense called a number of factory girls who testified that they had never seen Frank flirting with or touching the girls, and that they considered him to be a good character. In the prosecution rebuttal, Dorsey called a steady parade of former factory workers. In the prosecution's rebuttal, Dorsey called a steady of former factory workers to ask them the question, do you know Frank character for lascivious? The answer was usually bad. He had a parade of bitches. Like, yeah, that nigga touched my booty the other day. Yeah, that nigga asked me $4 to sit on his lap. Yes, sir, I'm only 12 years old. See? Nasty. And so what? He got a wife. That don't mean nothing. He could have did this to a little boy, and he got a wife. That don't mean nothing either. He did it. And the great United States court system proved him guilty. Right? So let's go. Okay, we can get to the video. Let's go to the videos here. Let's go to the videos. That's right. Hit that like button, goddamn. Hit that like button all the way up in here. Help that algorithm. Let's help that algorithm. All right, let's go here. We're gonna go here. All right. All right. We about to hit them up. Okay. Let's take a listen at some of these things here. I ain't playing nothing about it, ADL. I ain't playing nothing about it. Because they get me. They be slick. They'll pull a Leo Frank on me. So I ain't playing that. I ain't playing nothing on their channel. I'll play USA Today. Let's go. This is how the news media do it.
Any act of hate, really, the lesson should be why? Why did we do that? How do we want to make sure that never happens again?
His face, his eyes are old sketches. is a headline. Leo Frank is a relic of the past that still looms over the future.
The Leo Frank lynching certainly shaped our city. It shaped our region, and it frankly reshaped the nation.
The story of Leo Frank begins 2 years earlier, in 1913, with the story of Mary Fagan. At age 10, she left school to work. At age 13, at her workplace, she was found dead.
This is a young woman who had a very hard life, and to be murdered in such a brutal way really captivated the nation.
Suspicion soon fell on Frank, the superintendent of the factory where Fagan was found. Frank's trial quickly became about moral law.
You have this southern white 13-year-old girl who is murdered at the hands of what becomes this stereotypical evil northern foreigner.
He was the ultimate New York Jew living in.
You said there's an echo? Is it the only one I played the video? Let me know. Let me know quick as you can. You don't let me know soon. I'm just going to keep playing it. Let me hear what it sounds like on my phone. Play it.
The South.
And that
brought out a lot of anti-Semitism that lay beneath the surface in the South.
Police work was shoddy. There's just a whole host of things that would lead most scholars and lawyers to conclude that the outcome was not legitimate.
You hear this shit? Now, what I just read to y'all are awake people. Y'all tell me what happened. Now, they say he didn't do it, but they're afraid to say that Negro did it. They're afraid to say that, but they know what they want to say.
The outcome was guilty. To this day, it remains up for debate. What happened next does not.
A mob could go into a prison, not be stopped, grab an inmate, bring them back to Atlanta.
Outside on a sunny day in Marietta, Leo Frank was killed.
People would show up. They bring children. No one's covering their face. No one is ashamed to be part of this. They want to be seen. These were prominent citizens of Marietta, and none of them were ever brought to justice.
He is the only Jew that's ever been lynched. And it was really the low point for American Jews.
And they didn't even do their research. My research better than USA Today. Shame on you, USA Today. Shame on you. Shame on you. There was the man name was Bakersfield. Something. He was the first Jew that was lynched. It predated Leo Frank's lynching, if I'm not mistaken.
Community.
The relics become real when we see their ripples. Soon after lynching, the 2-year-old anti-defamation.
Look at this. Navy Springfield, if you're watching, check this out. You told me it was a fraternity like a Masonic Lodge. Benign Brief News. But see what they got under there? Benevolence, brotherly love, and harmony. They wasn't trying to let their brother go down in flames. This shit. Got the best lawyers out there. Didn't help him, but that nigga sat there and told the truth. Like I always say, the truth will whip your behind like a natural man every time. Let's go.
Force against hate.
Fair use, everybody. Fair use.
The Ku Klux Klan rallies and reforms an homage to the Knights of Mary.
This even brought the Klan back. The Klan was gone. This brought the Klan back.
Fagan. Both the ADL and KKK exist today.
Many white supremacists still have that actually etched as a tattoo. The white supremacist movement sees.
The way I'm looking at the ADL, I'm looking at them the same way we look at the KKK. Let's go.
Leo Frank is a win for them. Even today.
Today's Atlanta holds more than 100,000 Jewish residents and far fewer acts of anti-Semitism. Starting Monday, the Southern Museum in Kennesaw opens an exhibit in Leo Frank's name, mere miles from his death. The question always remains, how far have we come? But the lessons of Leo Frank still shine 100 years later.
We're just 2 months shy of 9 people in
You see this
Charleston.
shit? Look at the black folk. Oh, Lord, Leo Frank. Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord, Leo Frank. No. Oh, Lord. You see this shit right here? Yup. You see this shit? Hit that like button, y'all. Y'all see this? Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Being murdered for being African Americans. There are still plenty of groups that are facing hatred and discrimination. We have to continue to fight to make our society a better place.
Yeah, right. You ain't trying to do that. But listen what the family has to say. Let's check out what the family got to say. This is Mary Fagan's family. Not from back then, but you know what I mean? Later on in the future. Come on, man.
Instacart shoppers know your order is more than just items.
Inflammatory murder from Georgia's past comes back to life. The tragedy of Leo Frank and Mary Fagan revived when Fulton County District Attorney began to form
Hey, Miss News Lady.
he calls a conviction integrity unit. Many may recall the details from 1913. Even today, little Mary Fagan raped and strangled in the factory where she worked, lasting alive by factory superintendent Leo Frank. His trial roiled the nation with hatred stoked by race, gender, and religion. When the Georgia governor commuted his death sentence, an angry mob kidnapped him, president lynched him in Mary's hometown of Marietta. Tonight, Mary Fagan's namesake reveals to CBS 46 Special Assignment Reporter Sally Sears how it affects her life to this very day.
It won't go away.
Mary Fagan King has lived with her namesake's horrible death since she was 13.
My science teacher in 8th grade, Mr. Henry, said to me, "Are you by chance related to that little girl that was murdered in Atlanta?"
And that is when the pain of being Mary Fagan's heir began. The boys in her class teasing her about being a murder victim reincarnated. She went straight back to her father.
Is it true that there's another little Mary Fagan? And I swear to you, he stood back and turned whiter than whiter could be and said, "Who told you?"
That must be white in the mud. Anyway, let's go.
And he said, "Tomorrow when you go back to school, you tell Mr. Henry that, yes, you are related, and you are the namesake and great niece of little Mary Fagan."
The infamous trial and
she looked just like her, too. She looked just like her.
Later lynching of Leo Frank are captured in the neat files in her bedroom.
Look, she not playing. She is not playing.
Yet a century of doubt about Frank's guilt is here too, and in the Georgia archives where the Leo Frank story lives on. I found here photographs the New York Times staged but never published, showing an alternate theory of the murder. The staging shows a model of Mary pushed down a hole into the basement, knocked unconscious, attacked and strangled by Leo Frank's so-called accomplice, Jim Conley, the star
Jim.
Witness against Frank.
My great-grandmother and great-stepfather were at the trial every day.
Mary Fagan King recoils from these photographs. Convinced of Leo Frank's guilt, she is wondering if her own research into the case was worth publishing.
I have the DNA in me. And when I have questions about it, I'll go to Mary's grave and ask if I am to get involved. And I always receive a sign that tells me yes. Her
confidence leads her to protest the district attorney opening this case again.
I think I would be very sad if they exonerated Leo Frank without the Fagan family involvement. But then I will push the world to know that we weren't involved in it.
It is hard to imagine, after a century of fascination with this case, that the world will ignore her voice. I'm Sally Sears, CBS 46 News.
Now another nugget. The archives hold a haunting message that Sally Sears will explore tonight at 11.
All right. Thomas said this one. This was before there was a lot of mixing. All right, I read that one. They make it sound like Jewish and blacks are harmonious ethnics. Yeah, they really do. Now, there was another mention of a Jewish guy, right, that hired black workers, right? And I came across with this Mary Flanagan thing too, where this guy that was speaking for the ADL, right? He said how his Jewish parents owned a clothing store and that the daughters of the Confederacy came in there and told him, say, fancy girls like us, we don't like to be waited on colored folk, on Negroes, waited on by Negroes. And what he said that his mother said was, I believe what he said was his mother. She said that, well, you don't mind your babies sucking from the breasts of Negro women. And she said something else to that effect too, that Negroes said, so why wouldn't you have them wait on you? Right? And these black salesmen were really good at what they did and made a lot of money for these Jewish people, right? And they said after a while, the regular white folks started hiring colored people as salesmen for their clothing and other goods, right? So I want to know, my question, was you paying them like a Negro? Was these Jewish merchants or store owners, were they giving the Negroes fair wage like they would give a white person or a Jew their fair wage? That's what I would like to know. See, they can speak in a way that will make you think that, like John said, like harmonious, right? Damn mouse, man, this damn mouse. See, they would speak. They know how to speak in a way to not address the key things. It's like when Kyrie Irving asked the guy that was interviewing him, asking the questions, they said the N-word all day long on Twitter. And so ain't nobody say nothing. Ain't nobody riled up about that. Why you not riled up about that? Huh? Like I said, you go on TikTok right now and see all the big booty white girls and stuff. They sit there singing drill rap music. They got the N-word every 3 words. They're up on there shaking their booty and singing the lyrics. They still up on it. And who gave these people the note that says the N-word is all right to say on social media? Well, you know, all the black, they're saying it. Who said that it's okay? So I should make up some, make a derogatory term for Jewish people or for white people and normalize it. And I'll say, when I say it, I said, no, I'm saying that because you cool. We cool, right? How would that go down? How you think that would go down? Let's get into this last video. I want to get up out of here. And I close out at 2 hours and stuff. This video is like got 100 reasons why Leo Frank is guilty. 100 reasons why Leo Frank is guilty. We just heard a bunch, so we can see what else we could get into here. Before I close up, anybody want to come on? The links in the chat. No weird stuff tonight. That's right. Hit that like button, y'all. Get them likes up. Let's get them likes up. I didn't know there was a Manny Fagan YouTube channel. Let's check that out. How many other videos they got? Oh, I didn't even see all this before. Wow. Oh, wow. Okay. Well, I'll just play this video here. I should have looked at this before. Shout out to Barry Fagan's YouTube channel. Copy the link here. Copy link address. All right, I'm gonna put the link to that channel. It seems to have a lot of videos on the case, so that's cool. And we got that ADL video. And I don't know why this ain't play yet. All right. Okay, here we go. I'm going to skip over it. Just let it play. We'll talk about it.
Leo Frank is guilty, proving that anti-Semitism had nothing to do with his conviction.
Uh-oh.
And proving that his defenders
have used frauds and hoaxes for 100 years.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I ain't said that folks said. I didn't say it. That white lady said it. And I'm rocking with her right now. Let's go.
By Bradford L. Huey. 1. Only Leo Frank had the opportunity to be alone with Mary Fagan. And he admits he was alone with her in his office when she came to get her pay. And in fact, he was completely alone with her on the second floor. Had Jim Conley been the killer, he would have had to attack her practically right at the entrance to the building where he sat almost all day, where people were constantly coming and going, and where several witnesses noticed Conley with no assurance of...
Facts. Where could a nigga go with a white girl? A little white girl? Where? A Negro couldn't go two steps with a little white girl in his presence. And like they said, he would have had to attack her from the goddamn bottom of the steps. So you think she went in the basement?
Even a moment of privacy. 2. Leo Frank had told Newt Lee, the pencil factory's night watchman, to come earlier than usual at 4 p.m. on the day of the murder. But Frank was extremely nervous when Lee arrived. The killing of Mary Fagan had occurred between 3 and 4 hours before, and her body was still in the building, and insisted that Lee leave and come back in 2 hours. 3. When Lee then suggested he could sleep for a couple of hours on the premises, and there was a cot in the basement near the place where Lee would ultimately find the body, Frank refused to let him. Lee could also have slept in the packing room adjacent to Leo Frank's office. But Frank insisted that Lee had to leave and, quote, have a good time, end quote, instead.
Now, and I know old Lee thinking like, well, boss, what the hell, boss, wrong with boss tonight? He don't want me to, well, he told me to go and have a good time and everything. Gave me a couple of cigarettes.
This violated the corporate rule that once the night watchman entered the building, he could not leave until he handed over the keys to the day watchman.
That's the rules. The old boy here bent the rules. So, like, I just want to know, how can the ADL fix their mouth? Fix their mouth to say that this man had no involvement in the rap and murder. Why? Because he was in that damn fraternity.
Newt Lee, though strongly suspected at first, was manifestly innocent and had no reason to lie, and had good relations with Frank and no motive to hurt him. 4. When Lee returned at 6, Frank was even more nervous and agitated than 2 hours earlier, according to Lee. He was so nervous he could not operate the time clock properly, something he had done hundreds of times before. Leo Frank officially started to work at the National Pencil Company on Monday morning, August 10, 1908. 22 days later, on September 1st, 1908, he was elevated to the position of superintendent of the company and served in this capacity until he was arrested on Tuesday morning, April 29, 1913.
See this? See it?
5. When Leo Frank came out of the building around 6, he met not only Lee, but John Milton Gant, a former employee who was a friend of Mary Fagan. Lee says that when Frank saw Gant, he visibly, quote, jumped back, end quote, and appeared very nervous when Gant asked to go into the building to retrieve some shoes that he had left there. According to E.F. Holloway, J.M. Gant had known Mary for a long time and was one of the only employees Mary Fagan spoke with at the factory. Gant was the former paymaster of the firm. Frank had fired him 3 weeks earlier, allegedly because the payroll was short about $1. Was Gant?
Now, they said that Gant kind of liked her too. And that old boy must have was jealous again.
It's firing a case of the drug.
That white boy ain't got no money. See this $200?
Again, getting rid of the prince to get the princess?
See?
Was Frank jealous of Gant's closeness with Mary Fagan? Unlike Frank, Gant was tall with bright blue eyes and handsome features. 6. After Frank returned home in the evening after the murder, he called Newt Lee on the telephone and asked him if everything was, quote, all right, end quote, at the factory, something he had never done before. A few hours later, Lee would discover the mutilated body of Mary Fagan in the pencil factory basement. 7. When police finally reached Frank after the body of Mary Fagan had been found, Frank emphatically denied knowing the murdered girl by name, even though he had seen her probably hundreds of times. He had to pass by her workstation, where she had worked for a year, every time he inspected the workers' area on the second floor, and every time he went to the bathroom.
See?
And he had filled out her pay slip personally on approximately 52 occasions, marking it with her initials MP. Witnesses also testified that Frank had spoken to Mary Fagan on multiple occasions, even getting a little too close for comfort at times, putting his hand on her shoulder and calling her Mary.
See that? Sexual harassment. Sexual harassment. And this is who y'all support? ADL? This is who you support? Y'all still trying to do this today? Y'all think this is all right, right?
8.
And they got 100 reasons. We only got 8.
When police accompanied Frank to the factory on the morning after the murder, Frank was so nervous and shaking so badly he could not even perform simple tasks like unlocking a door. 9. Early in the investigation, Leo Frank told police that he knew that J.M. Gant had been, quote, intimate, end quote, with Mary Fagan.
Look, this dude trying to put it on everybody. According to him, the whole company did it and left him out of it.
Immediately making Gant a suspect.
But he the one nervous.
Gant was arrested and interrogated. But how could Frank have known such a thing about a girl he didn't even know by name? 10. Also early in the investigation, while both Leo Frank and Newt Lee were being held and some suspicion was still directed at Lee, a bloody shirt was, quote, discovered, end quote, in a barrel at Lee's home. Investigators became suspicious when it was proved that the blood marks on the shirt had been made by wiping it unworn in the liquid. The shirt had no trace of body odor, and the blood had fully soaked even the armpit area, even though only a small quantity of blood was found at the crime scene. This was the first sign that money was being used to procure illegal acts and interfere in the case in such a way as to direct suspicion away from Leo M. Frank.
But a lot of things people say, they say, oh, it ain't true. That's anti-Semitism. Paying their way out of trouble.
This became a virtual certainty when Lee was definitely cleared. 11. Leo Frank claimed that he was in his office continuously from noon to 12:35 on the day of the murder. But a witness friendly to Frank, 14-year-old Montine Stover, said Frank's office was totally empty from 12:05 to 12:10, while she waited for him there before giving up and leaving. This was approximately the same time as Mary Fagan's visit to Frank's office and the time she was murdered. On Sunday, April 27, 1913, Leo Frank told police that Mary Fagan came into his office at 12:03 p.m. The next day, Frank made a deposition to the police with his lawyers present, in which he said he was alone with Mary Fagan in his office between 12:05 and 12:10. Frank later changed his story again, stating on the stand that Mary Fagan came into his office a full 5 minutes later than that. 12.
To me, that sounds like somebody trying real hard. What y'all think?
Frank contradicted his own testimony when he finally admitted on the stand that he had possibly, quote, unconsciously, end quote, gone to the metal room bathroom between 12:05 and 12:10 p.m. on the day of the murder. 13.
Let's jump ahead.
The metal room. The defendant had not received a fair trial. He did not do so, effectively making the vote 13-0. 60. Judge Rome also had the power to sentence Frank to the lesser sentence of life imprisonment, even though the jury had not recommended mercy. On August 26, 1913, Judge Rome affirmed the verdict of guilt and sentenced Leo Frank to death by hanging. 61. On October 31st, 1913, the court rejected a request for a new trial by the Leo Frank defense team and re-sentenced Frank to die. The sentence handed down by Judge Benjamin H. Hill was set to be carried out on Frank's 30th birthday, April 17, 1914. 62. Supported by a huge fundraising campaign launched by the American Jewish community and supported by a public relations campaign carried out by innumerable newspapers and publishing companies nationwide, Leo Frank continued to mount a prodigious defense even after his conviction, employing some of the most prominent lawyers in the United States. From August 27, 1913 to April 22, 1915, they filed a long series of appeals to every possible level of the United States court system, beginning with an application to the Georgia Superior Court. That court rejected Frank's appeal as groundless.
See?
63. The next appeal by Frank's dream team of world-renowned attorneys was to the Georgia Supreme Court.
What? What did she say?
It was rejected.
World-renowned attorneys. World-renowned. And they still couldn't get him off. Why? Because he did it. And I'm going to cut this short. I might play a few more, right? But I want to say this, is that it's a terrible thing that where a mob could break into a police department and take a man and go do what they want to. That's not right. That's not what I'm here for, right? But what I am doing is protesting wrong. This man was convicted of it. All the evidence is showing that this man did this, right? He was convicted. Now, how they went about executing him when he's supposed to serve life and stuff, that's wrong. That's absolutely wrong, right? But an angry mob, I don't, for what he did, I really don't care. Really, it's wrong, but I'm not going to lose sleep over it. That's just like y'all, you got a serial rape or murder, child murder or something like that, right? And somebody just happened to shoot in a short courtroom and shit, kill him. Like, that's not supposed to happen. The person that did it supposed to go to prison, right? Just like he was going. But ain't nobody gonna lose sleep over it. Ain't nobody gonna lose no sleep over that.
$64.
And what amazes me is that they didn't attack the black dude and stuff. He had nothing to do with it. You saw the man already try to get out of everything.
An appeal was then made by Frank's lawyers to the Georgia Supreme Court, which was all.
Niggas is lying. The Negroes is lying. They lied on me. They lied on me.
Also rejected as groundless. 65. The next appeal by Frank's phalanx of attorneys was to the United States.
Little vocab Malone motherfuckers. That did some shit that got in trouble and shit. Now, they don't know what to do. And shit. That's why I call them vocab Malone. I don't know why I did that and shit, but fuck it. I don't care. Let's go.
State's Federal District Court. Which also found Frank's arguments unpersuasive.
I ain't call vocab Malone no murder and rapist and shit. I didn't do that.
And turned down the appeal, affirming that the guilty verdict of the jury should stand. 66. Next, the Frank legal team appealed to the highest court in the land, the United States Supreme Court, which rejected Frank's arguments and turned down his appeal. 66 of Atlanta on the day Mary Fagan was murdered. All things considered, the South in general inclined to ostracize Jews, end quote, and drew attention to the, quote, striking Southern situation, end quote, of almost no discrimination against Jews there.
Oh,
True, Jewish-Gentile relations had somewhat declined there by the mid-20th century, and the massive campaign during the Frank appeals to paint his prosecution and the South generally as anti-Semitic, and the eventual creation of the Anti-Defamation League in the wake of Frank's death played their part in this change. But the aftermath of the Frank trial had no part, of course, in the attitudes of the people of Atlanta on the day Mary Fagan was murdered. All things considered, the South in general, and Atlanta in particular, seem to have been, if anything, safe havens for Jews, where they might escape from the anti-Semitism that was rampant around the beginning of the last century. End quote. 93. Southern attitudes toward Jews can be further gauged by the fact that during the Civil War, Southerners made a Jew their Secretary of the Treasury. Judah P. Benjamin was the first Jewish appointee to any cabinet position in any North American government.
Wow.
Benjamin also served as Attorney General, Secretary of State, and Secretary of War for the Confederate States of America.
What?
He was so high regarded that his portrait graced the paper money of the South.
Wow.
Meanwhile, around the same time, Northern General Ulysses S. Grant issued an order physically expelling all Jews from the parts of the South under his control, even demanding that they leave a huge multi-state area, quote, within 24 hours, end quote. The claim that
so it was a Jew that was for the Confederacy.
the pervasive and vicious anti-Semitism was the real reason for the prosecution and conviction of Leo Frank is an absurd lie and a fantastic misrepresentation of history.
Get him, girl.
Nevertheless, it is now the stuff of innumerable works of alleged scholarship, drama and fiction, and is viewed by naive students who are exposed to such works as the central truth of the case. If Leo Frank were innocent, why would his supporters have to fabricate such blatant impostures and engage in emotional blackmail on a colossal scale? 94. Researcher Alan Koenigsberg states that some of the most intriguing and important parts of the Nola McKnight's sworn affidavits have, for some reason or other, been completely omitted from the current literature on the Frank case. Quote, one of the most intriguing circumstances in the pre-trial development of this case involved a document signed by the black cook in the Frank/Selig household, Manola McKnight. Frank's attorneys would long argue that it was coerced by the police as a result of, quote, third-degree methods, end quote. Since 1913, it has never been shown in its entirety, and we are glad to present it here at leofrankcase.com. Also unmentioned in the last 9 decades is the sequence of events that led up to its appearance. Manola would make 3 affidavits in all. May 3rd, June 2nd, and 3rd. Put her overnight for Smith's theory went. The notes had not been dictated by Leo Frank, as Conley had testified.
Remember the notes?
Many greeted this revelation with well-deserved derision. Few believe that Frank would have insisted that Conley copy his language exactly, word for word, though Hugh Dorsey made the mistake of suggesting this was so in his closing arguments. In fact, the death notes would serve their intended purpose, to place blame for the murder on a black man, much more effectively by being written in the natural language of an authentic speaker of Southern black dialect.
And what motherfucker would sit there and write a guy, after you do a crime, write a note about it and leave it there with the body? Knowing your ass can't spell this shit.
And surely that is a fact that no intelligent murderer would fail to see and act upon. 96. In his book, A Little Girl is Dead, writer Harry Golden, though not incapable of objective journalism, for example, he once reported that Southerners had unusually favorable attitudes to Jews, may have perpetrated the most outrageous hoax in the Frank case. Golden claimed that Jim Conley had made a deathbed confession to the murder of Mary Fagan.
Wow!
The famed pro-Frank researcher and author Steve Oney, very charitably, says of Golden that this was, quote, wishful thinking,
wow.
End quote.
Wow!
Oney went to great lengths to follow up on Golden's claim. Quote, over the last few years, legal aides have rifled through microfilm files and libraries across the South, searching for news of Conley's confession. They have found nothing.
See this shit? The son of a bitch is lying. They lying. They want to put it on the black man. They say, oh, that Negro said he admitted on his deathbed that he did it. You hear this shit? They made that up. Pseudo information. Y'all feel me? Hit that like button. Y'all feel me? Hit that like button. They lied on that black man. The anti-defamation league should be ashamed of themselves. And people need to cut ties with them. Find a new organization to fight anti-Semitism. Find a new organization. Major to the current events. They lied. Those you lied. Boy, the Negro, the Negro on his deathbed, he admitted to it. All because they wanted to get Leo Frank a pardon for what? For something that he was convicted for. And you know what? He got a pardon. But it wasn't on him being not guilty. The pardon was, I'm about to close it up. Now, the pardon was before him not having a fair trial because of the mob. And what they call, I forgot the word that they use for it. But from the attack of the mob, he should have got they pardoned him for that. There's a certain word for it. I can't think of that at the moment. It wasn't because they believe he wasn't guilty. But they want to make you believe that the pardon was for that. And if you watch this video that I'm going to put the link for by the ADL on the 100th anniversary of the lynching of Leo Frank. This is almost like some George Floyd shit right here. But look, George Floyd get more credit than Leo Frank. That's the ADL video there. It's like an hour or something long. All you have to do is watch it and you just shake your head and look at the black people on that panel. It's so sad. It is so sad. They're afraid to talk for themselves. They know damn well.
End quote.
End quote.
Oni, quote, the lynching of Leo Frank,
the lynching of Leo Frank,
Esquire,
end quote,
September
Esquire,
1985.
September 1985.
97.
97.
It seems unlikely that Hugh Dorsey was motivated by anti-Semitism in his prosecution of Leo Frank,
considering that a partner in his
right.
law firm.
So, other words, ain't nobody been thinking about that, them being Jews. Ain't had nothing to do with it. It's about him being a nasty man and lying. And got caught. That's what it was about.
Was
Jewish.
It's preposterous to even have to ask the question, but if Dorsey hated Jews enough to send one to the gallows as an innocent man, why would he tolerate and proudly claim, as he did at trial, such a close association with a Jewish man? And if Dorsey was guilty of such vicious malice against Jews, why would his partner continue the association himself?
Wait, hold on. What the hell this shit say here? Excerpt from the closing argument of Hugh Dorsey, Leo Frank's trial. Tribute to the Jewish race. I say to you here and now that the race from which that man comes is as good as our race. His ancestors were civilized when ours were cutting each other up and eating human flesh. His race is just as good as ours. Just so good, but not better. I honor the race that this produced, a Disraeli, the greatest prime minister that England has ever produced. I honor the race that produced Judah P. Benjamin, or the liar, as a great lawyer as ever lived in America or England, because he lived in both places and won renown in both places. But he lost that goddamn trial. I honor the Strauss brothers, Oscar the diplomat, and the man who went down with his wife by his side on the Titanic. I roomed with one of his race at college. One of his race is my partner. I served with old man Joe Hirsch on the board of trustees of the Grady Hospital. I know Rabbi Marks, but to honor him, and I know Dr. Son of Hebrew Orphans Home, and I have listened to him, whatever that says, the thing's covered it up.
Closing arguments of Hugh Dorsey, Leo Frank trial. 98. Why did the Leo Frank defense team, consisting of some of the most skilled attorneys in the state, refuse to cross-examine 20 young women and girls who testified that Frank had a bad moral character? Under Georgia law, the prosecution was only allowed to use these witnesses' testimony to enter the general fact that Frank's character was bad. Under cross-examination, though, the defense could have forced the girls and women to give specific reasons and relate specific incidents that supported their opinion, and trip them up if they could.
But they didn't. But they didn't, because they would have been Trump tight like the Negro testimony was.
Why then did they not do so? The only reasonable answer. They knew Leo Frank's character, and they did not dare allow any specifics to go before the jury. 99. One of the most bizarre hoaxes in the Fagan case was that surrounding insurance salesman W.H. Mincy. On the afternoon of the murder, Mincy claimed that Jim Conley, on the public streets of Atlanta, and with no prompting, and for no apparent reason whatever, confessed to murdering a girl that very day. According to the contemporary book, The Frank Case, page 66. Quote, Mincy asserted that late in the afternoon he was at the corner of Electric Avenue and Carter Streets, near the home of Conley, when he approached the black, asking that he take an insurance policy. The Negro told him, he said, to go along that he was in trouble. Asked what his trouble was, Mincy swore that Conley replied he had killed a girl. Quote, You are Jack the Ripper, are you? End quote. Said Mincy. Quote, no. End quote. He says Conley replied. Quote, I killed a white girl, and you better go along or I will kill you. End quote. End quote.
Now, what Negro in 1910s would talk to a damn white man like that? Come on. Are you serious? Are you serious? Are you serious? What black man would talk to a white man like that in like 1910s or something? 1915, 1913, whatever. 10 years before and after, there was no Negro talk to a white man like
that. That this tale could be accepted by any man in possession of his reason is doubtful. But nevertheless, the Frank defense team seriously asserted in court their intention to call Mincy as a witness. They withdrew him, however, after the prosecution was said to have discovered Mincy's problematic relationship with the truth and had 25 witnesses prepared to impeach him.
Wow.
And furthermore, intended to produce copies of several books Mincy had written on the subject of, quote, mind reading, end quote. 100. Mary Fagan's grandniece, Mary Fagan relates in her book, The Murder of Little Mary Fagan, that her grandfather, William Joshua Fagan Jr., Mary Fagan's brother, confronted Jim Conley in private in 1934, and was ultimately convinced that the former factory sweeper was telling the truth. At times so emotionally moved that he could barely hold back tears, William Fagan finally told Conley that he believed him. And said that if he had thought he was lying, quote, I'd kill you myself, end quote.
What did I say?
After the intent,
he believed the Negro. He believed the Negro.
Once the meeting was over, Jim Conley and Mary Fagan's brother went out for a drink.
You hear that shit? Did that sound like some kind of unjust thing happening with a white man sit there and want to have a drink with a nigga?
In truth,
I'm the Wish Finder General, y'all. Y'all hit that like button. Subscribe. Hit my Cash App, $ Coke Buster, right here at the bottom of the screen. Giving it to y'all raw tonight.
100 reasons to believe that Leo was guilty of murdering Mary Fagan. There are far more than 100 reasons to believe that the claim of widespread, quote, Southern anti-Semitism, end quote, virtually promoted as gospel today, is a complete and malicious fraud. There are far more than 100 reasons to believe that Frank's defenders have used perjury, fraud, and outright hoaxes to impose their view of the case on an unsuspecting public. I urge each and every one of you to read the original source materials I have cataloged in the appendix which follows this article. Only by seeing what the jury saw, by reading what the people of Atlanta read as events unfolded, uncensored and without the nuance and spin of modern authors who are, with but a very few exceptions, uniformly dedicated to one side, can you truly understand the tragedy of little Mary Fagan and the whirlwind her death unleashed.
Wow.
In my opinion, the most horrible imposture, the real injustice in the Frank case as it stands today is that millions of trusting men and women, children and students all across the world have been forcibly imprinted by a multi-million-dollar media campaign with the idea that Leo Frank, the monster who almost certainly abused and strangled bright and beautiful Mary Ann Fagan to death, is the real victim in this case.
Boom. And they have, if I'm not mistaken, the ADL has written curriculum to speak on this case in schools. I believe I ran by something on the internet before I started this show. So this is crazy, yo. This is crazy. This unbelievable. Unbelievable. I'm the Witchfinder General. Thank y'all for tuning in tonight. Y'all can hit my Cash App if you want to support a brother. Super Chat. We got the Super Thanks. We got our memberships. But just hit the like button, right? But all donations appreciated, and your name will go at the bottom of the screen. I'm using a different account, so I'm just going to shout them out tonight. Y'all. I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. I gotta say this over. I don't know when they cut it off. I think my mouse did it. But I like to thank all my supporters. Say it again. You're gonna hear me before. My all-star Sister P. We got our members, Brainstorm Homeschool Academy, Navy Springfield. We got our supporters out Cater GT, Scary YT Streets. We got Bill Hill, Josh, Siberius the Sleeping Serpent, Alana Rubinite. We got Sahara Jr. We got San Miguel TV, Bill Hill, Myron Edwards. We got Nicozy. We got John Riggins coming straight out of Kingston. We got, so tell me that's all of them. For some reason, it got to be at least like 5 more. I haven't said it in a while because I had at the bottom of the screen scrolling. But it's a different account. So I apologize for that. If I missed anybody, I apologize. So with that, y'all, I'm going to put the list on here for the next show. Make sure it's on here. So Everybody get their props. If y'all want to get some props, y'all hit my Cash app, Coltbuster, and I'll say your name or have it at the bottom of the screen every video that I do here on out. That's a live stream. I'll put it like that. And with that, y'all, I'm up out of here. Killer be the goddamn Witchfinder General. You got to be burning them up. ADL, you got to be ashamed of yourself. You should be ashamed. Kyrie, get them. All right, y'all. Peace. Like, share, subscribe.